Thanks for joining us on Plus TV Africa. My name is Felicity Ezewige. Adams Shomale, the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress (APC), has said the only available option for the Senate President Bukola Saraki to avoid being impeached is to resign. Oshomale said this during his address to journalists at the APC National Secretariat in Abuja on Friday. According to him, Saraki will not be the first Senate president to be impeached, and also expressed his doubt that he will be the last. In his words, the only way Saraki can avoid impeachment is for him to do what is honorable, which again leads to the issue of character. Citing an example, he said Senator Akpabio, who defected from the PDP to the APC, resigned as the minority leader of the House first, informed the PDP, and resigned honorably. The presidency has reacted to allegations by the president of the Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki, and his deputy, Ike Ekweremadu, that the federal government was planning to implicate them over the recent invasion of the National Assembly by men of the Department of State Services, DSS. The senior special assistant to the acting president on media and publicity, Mr. Laolu Akonde, expressed surprise that Saraki and Ekweremadu could allege that. Akonde said the presidency had made it clear that those involved in the invasion within the nation's law enforcement agencies would be identified and dealt with accordingly. He therefore wondered why Saraki and Ekweremadu would consider themselves to be in the group of those the government promised to sanction. Former acting governor of Adamawa State, James Baka, has announced his intention to dump the ruling All Progressive Congress for the People's Democratic Party. Baka, who is also a member of the Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative, said this on Friday when he received a delegation of the PDP led by its state chairman. He said he could no longer remain in the party as a result of the governor, Mohammed Jibrila's inconsistent and deceptive attitude. According to him, Jibrila's administration runs contrary to political tenets, and the governor has never been a man of his words, but only succeeds in deceiving the electorate. Experts have converged in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, to develop ways to curb fake news. They say its effect cannot be compared to its consequences, which usually endangers the lives and property of unsuspecting victims. Our correspondent, Amadine Uyi, reports.
The advent of social media has enabled the increasing access to information and ability to disseminate such. While many have taken this too far, tales of the spread of false information, popularly called fake news, has resulted to untold consequences. Many say Nigeria is not the only country suffering from this vice.
It's a global problem. It's a global challenge, and one that is posing major challenge, major threat to democracy everywhere. Not just to democracy, but also to lives.
At this conference in Abuja, experts say there is a need to address the spread of fake news.
The idea of this conference generally is to have conversation around fake news. If you listen to most of the panelists, and even when some dignitaries talked about fake news, the much emphasis is not really on fake news itself, but the consequences of fake news.
They say there is a need to improve public awareness on the consequences of fake news, describing its effects as worrisome.
With the advent or emergence of social media, people have access to information at their fingertips. And the unfortunate thing is that what is not just about the information they have access to, but what they make use of the information. You know, most of this information in recent of it are not really true. And despite the fact that it's not true, people find it difficult to interrogate it further, but rather further share the information.
Every part of the world today, democracy is facing major threat as a result of fake news. In Nigeria, it's no different. Every day you wake up to get one message or the other, and people are so quick to share these messages without any effort to verify their authenticity.
They also tasked Nigerians to join the campaign against fake news as a form of social responsibility.
Nigerians themselves must also call themselves to order. If you get a video information, a news information, whether it's video, whether it is audio, you owe it to your neighbor. You owe it to your community. You owe it to your neighborhood. You owe it to the country to make simple effort to verify the authenticity of that information before disseminating it.
Amadine Uyi, Plus TV Africa.
Nigerian women and girls are increasingly contributing to national development and advancing the global rating of the country. Africa's Golden Girls are made up of 5 brilliant girls from Regina Passage Secondary School, Onitsha, Anambra State, made Nigeria proud, winning the gold medal at the World Technovation Challenge in the Silicon Valley in San Francisco in the U.S. last night. The team, led by Uchenna Ugu, defeated representatives of other technological giants, including the US, Spain, Turkey, Uzbekistan, and China, to clinch the gold medal. Acting President Professor Yemi Oshibanjo, in a Facebook post, congratulated the girls, adding, "We're proud of you." The world champions, Promise Anelwe, Jessica Osita, Nwabu Aku Osai, Adeze Onibo, Vivian Okoye, won the challenge with a mobile application called the FD Detector, which they developed to help tackle the challenge of fake pharmaceutical products in Nigeria. A chieftain of the All Progressive Congress APC in Ekiti State and the aide to former Governor Segun Oni, Comrade Bumi Ojo, has been shot dead by unidentified gunmen. Sources say he was shot around a football viewing center on Friday evening in Ado, the state capital. The Rivers government has announced the death of the State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Mr. Emmanuel Aguma's son. Aguma died on Friday in a London hospital. Mr. Ima Oka, the State Commissioner for Information and Communication, announced Aguma's death in Port Harcourt on Saturday. He said that it was with pains but with gratitude to the Almighty God that the Rivers government announced the death. Until his death, Emmanuel Aguma's son served the state with amazing sense of responsibility, commitment, passion, competence, and courage. The United Nations Security Council has raised concerns over the security and humanitarian situation caused by the Boko Haram terrorists and others armed groups in Nigeria, Cameroon, and Chad. In a presidential statement, the 15-member body regretted that Central African countries were beset by ongoing terror activities, instability, effects of climate change, and asked the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, to review the work of the UN Regional Office for Central Africa and recommend areas for improvement. The Council encouraged partners to increase security assistance to Lake Chad Basin, commission countries, and humanitarian and development support across the region for those affected by Boko Haram activities. We'll be right back after this commercial break with more news. Stay with us. The Eritrean government has officially waded into a diplomacy role between Saudi Arabia and Canada. Asmara said it stood with Saudi Arabia on the issue. In a statement issued earlier this week, Eritrea described Canada's actions as irresponsible and provocative and tasked Saudi to chiefly defend its sovereignty. Saudi Arabia accused Canada of interfering in its internal affairs after the Canadian Foreign Ministry tweeted that the kingdom should release detained civil society activists. Cameroon's government said on Friday it would investigate a video that Amnesty International said shows security forces shooting at least a dozen unarmed people in the far north of the country, where they are battling Islamist militants. Amnesty said in a statement it had verified the video through witness testimony, satellite imagery, and analysis of the weapons, dialogue, and uniforms. It said the video was shot in the village of Atigaya at an unknown date prior to May 2016. The nearly 4-minute video has circulated on social media in recent days. A government spokesman said it was released to undermine President Paul Biya ahead of an election in October. Government spokesman Issa Charoma Bakare said that authorities would open an investigation into the video, but said the government was the victim of a campaign of denigration ahead of the election when Biya will try to extend his 36-year rule. To other stories now, the government of the United States of America, the United Kingdom and Norway said the peace process signed by warring parties in South Sudan was not realistic. In a statement issued by the Office of the Spokesperson of U.S. Department of State, said they supported the engagement of the region in the recent Khartoum-based negotiations on outstanding governance and security issues. President Salva Kiir, opposition leader Riek Machar, a representative of the former political detainees and representatives for other South Sudan opposition groups signed the agreement, which focused on governance and security between the warring parties at Sudan's capital in Khartoum. When we return, the death toll rises to 387 in Indonesian island of Lombok, kills 387 people. Stay with us. An earthquake on the Indonesian island of Lombok has killed 387 people, authorities said on Saturday, adding hundreds of thousands of displaced people were still short of clean water, food and medicine nearly a week on. The shallow 6.9 magnitude quake on Sunday leveled tens of thousands of homes, mosques and businesses across Lombok, just 1 week after another tremor surged through the island and killed 17 people. It's predicted the death toll will continue to grow because there are still victims who are suspected of being buried by landslides and under rubble, and there are victims that have not been recorded and reported to posts. National Disaster Agency spokesman Sutopo Nugroho said the number forced from their homes in the disaster has soared to 387,000. He said with around 13,000 injured. The hardest hit region of Lombok has been in the north, where 334 people have died and nearly 200,000 have been forced from their homes. According to latest official tolls, 2 people were also killed by the quake on the neighboring tourist island of Bali. A humanitarian ship rescued 141 migrants from overcrowded wooden boats off the coast of Libya on Friday in its first rescue mission since it was caught in a standoff with Italy and Malta over their refusal to let rescued migrants ashore. Run by Franco-German charity SOS Mediterranean and Doctors Without Borders (MSF), the Aquarius rescued 25 migrants, including 6 women, from a small wooden boat about 25 nautical miles off the Libyan coast. Later, 116 others were taken off a second wooden boat in the same area, including 38 women and 73 under the age of 18. When Italy turned the Aquarius away in June and Malta followed suit, the ship spent a grueling 9 days at sea before eventually disembarking the migrants in Spain. The row also drew in the European Union and France, and political tensions have persisted between Rome and Paris since then. An airline employee who stole an empty passenger plane from Seattle Airport has crashed on a nearby island. Authorities said the man had made an unauthorized takeoff late on Friday local time, forcing Seattle Tacoma International Airport to close. 2 F-15 fighter jets pursued the plane. It is unclear if the man survived the crash. The Pierce County Sheriff's Office said it was not a terrorist attack, adding that the man was local and aged 29.
About 2 hours ago, a plane crashed into Ketron Island. It's a small island off of Steilacoom here. There aren't that many people who live there. There are probably about 20 who live year-round. Apparently, the plane was taken from SeaTac Airport. Our information now is there was only one person on the plane, and that was the person flying the plane. I understand the person may have been doing some air stunts and whatever. I know that some aircraft were scrambled from the Air Force Base. There is no indication that this person who was flying the plane was trying to damage anything or attack anything. That person crashed into the island. There was a fire that followed. So, we believe there are no further casualties than one person. We don't know their condition, but because it was a fairly fiery crash, that's probably not a good condition. We have no indication that neighbors or property were damaged or hurt. Again, it's very sparsely populated, a small island.
Up next is business news. Stay with us. The acting president of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has attributed the woes in the petroleum sector and entire economy to corruption. He insists that this government is ready to take the fight against corruption further to ensure a safe business environment for investors. This came as he expressed confidence in the private sector-led economy, which he said is the key driver of any economy. He made this known on a visit to the Total's Egina floating production storage offloading in Ladol Free Zone, Lagos State. The National Bureau of Statistics has revealed that the importation of premium motor spirit, otherwise known as petrol, dipped to 4.79 billion litres in the second quarter of 2018, as against the 5.67 billion litres of the product imported into the first quarter of the year. The second quarter report of the NBS reflected that 1.11 billion litres of automotive gas oil, 43.79 million litres of household kerosene, and 200.39 million litres of aviation turbine kerosene were imported into the country in the period under review. In comparison, the NBS report showed that in the first quarter of the year, the NNPC imported 954.47 million litres of automotive gas oil, 66.914 million litres of household kerosene, and 5,122.067 million litres of aviation turbine kerosene into the country in the first quarter of 2018. Still in business, the Tomato Growers Association of Nigeria has said that its members have collectively lost 10 billion naira as a result of poor market and lack of guaranteed off-takers. This was disclosed by the Association Secretary General, Mr. Sani Danladi Yadakwari. He noted that Dangote Tomato Processing Company and Savannah Integrated Farm Limited, who had take-off arrangements with farmers, had remained dysfunctional, thus unable to produce, and their factories shut down. In his words, he said, "This is the second time this year we're calling the attention of government and its relevant agencies and ministries to come to the rescue of tomato farmers by enforcing fully its tomato policy," he lamented. He also urged the government to investigate the reason why NAFDAC refused to bring to justice importers or marketers of unhealthy tomato paste as revealed by Food Safety and Applied Nutrition. The Securities and Exchange Commission has enjoined shareholders who bought shares in different names to regularize the transactions between August and December 31, 2018 without any penalties. The Acting Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Mary Uduk, at a press conference in Lagos, says if all shares are regularized, it will improve liquidity in the market. Our correspondent, Edidiong Iwang, reports.
This is a press briefing by the Securities and Exchange Commission after their second Capital Markets Committee meeting, which held in Lagos. Amongst resolutions made, the SEC has urged all shareholders who bought shares in different names to regularize their transactions between now and the 31st of December 2018.
We're saying come and regularize that situation and collect back your shares. Please let them know that there is no punishment attached to it. The SEC is not punishing anybody. We just want you between now and the 31st of December to come and regularize that transaction.
On the issue of demutualization of the securities exchange, the acting DG of the Commission says steps are already being taken as the bill is before the presidency.
In respect of the mutualization of the NSA, that is going on. As we speak, the bill is with the presidency. The National Assembly has passed it.
The SEC also used this medium to debunk rumors of their accounts not being prepared.
I want to say it here very clearly that the accounts of the SEC, all of our accounts, have been well prepared and audited. All our accounts have been well prepared and audited. But we haven't placed it on our website for a reason. And the reason is that they have not yet been signed.
The Securities and Exchange Commission is also working towards addressing crowdfunding. Edidi Ongiwang, reporting for Plus TV Africa.
Still ahead on Plus TV Africa News, it's a roundup on entertainment and sports. We're back in a moment.
And in entertainment, American pop icon Ciara has publicly acknowledged Nigerian pop sensation Tiwa Savage for inspiring her new record, Freak Me. She shared her appreciation on social media on Friday, the 10th of August. In her post, she wrote a shout out to Tiwa Savage on the inspiration and sample used in Freak Me. She's a beast. I fell in love with the melody when I first heard it in Africa 3 years ago. American singer-songwriter Justin Timberlake is set to release his first book titled Hindsight, and it's regarding his upbringing in Tennessee. According to him, it will have a lot of photos and stories. The star shared the news via Instagram on Friday and wrote, "I am looking forward to sharing these pictures and stories with you. It's coming out on the 30th of October. He continued further by saying his story has been filled with so many amazing people that have helped him become the artist that he is today. Reflecting on those moments, spotlighting some of the important people and places that have informed his music, and getting the opportunity to share his story is something that he's very grateful for." Veteran Nollywood actress Barbara Soki, who is famed for her role in the TV series Ripples, is back in the limelight and is set to star in new Nollywood movie The Graduates, which is a movie about 4 bachelors who return to Nigeria from their studies abroad. 3 of them embark on serious relationships while one of them becomes a player. The Graduates movie is aimed at raising awareness on HIV/AIDS and sickle cell anemia. Barbara, who said acting is her calling, had a comeback in 2014 but hasn't done much until now. The actress will be starring alongside Yemi Black, Mercy Aigbe, Thin Tall Tony, Gifty Powers, Mike Okon, amongst many others. The Graduates will be showing in cinemas from the 17th of August. And that's it on entertainment. The best in sports right after this.
And in sports, Manchester United manager Jose Mourinho praised monster Paul Pogba after he captained the side and scored the opening goal in the win over Leicester City on the first day of the Premier League season. The host made a flying start at Old Trafford, winning a penalty in the 2nd minute when Daniel Amati handled Alexis Sanchez's deflated shot. Pogba stepped up and after a typically nonchalant slow run-up, placed the ball in the top right corner above Kasper Schmeichel. Left-back Luke Shaw then scored the first senior goal of his career after controlling Juan Mata's aerial pass to double their lead. Substitute Jamie Vardy headed a late consolation for Leicester after Ricardo Pereira's cross had hit a post, and Fox's goalkeeper came forward for an injury time corner, but his header went wide. And that's it on sports, and wrap things up for news making the headlines at this hour. We'll be back much later with more news making the headlines. Do join us again. My name is Felicity Ezewike. Thanks for watching.